Oscar nominee Djimon Hounsou is back in the latest installment of John Krasinski's Quiet Place franchise about an alien invasion of Earth. Hounsou stars alongside Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn, and Alex Wolff in the prequel called A Quiet Place Day One. We're going to have a clip in just a moment. But first, Djimon Hounsou and Alex Wolff join us first on CBS Morning. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.
We are very excited to be here.
Yeah? Is that your excited voice?
I really wanted to come off excited. We're very excited to be here.
All right, very good. Djimon, I'll go to you first here on this because your character, I don't want to give up too much, but dies in one of the subsequent movies, and we don't know a lot about his backstory.
Right.
We get a little more here. What's it like to develop a character like that?
Well, it was a lot of fun. I mean, certainly John Krasinski called me on, for the second one, and I obviously when I seen the first one, I was really moved by the interpretation, and certainly how they creatively put this together.
You were moved. Why?
Well, rarely you see a movie that have very little. What we're dealing with is some sort of a creature, but what's amazing is you're dealing with the human condition, and most of the trilogy basically speaks of a character with great. There were character-driven stories, right? Narratives that rarely you see on a epic, action, picture like this one. And the interpretation and the way we all came on board from the first one to the second one, certainly the interpretation was absolutely, so engaging. You were glued to, you were on the edge of your seat, and so that was very appealing to me. From the first one. So when I was offered the second one, it was all with the understanding that I would be on the first one day one. So.
And then you did this one because of me, right?
Right.
I was just so excited to work with me.
Which was the third one, by the way.
this day one.
Yes.
It was just very excited. Right.
Well, so Alex, one of the things that I find remarkable is there's not a lot of dialogue in this film, which means as actors, you are all letting us, the audience, understand what's happening in your mind and in your brain through sometimes very little dialogue, just your eye movement or the actions that you take on the screen. What kind of a challenge was that for you, for both of you as actors, and what did you enjoy about it?
I mean, it's my biggest challenge in the world, not talking. So I think it was very challenging for me to not just be talking all the time.
Right.
And I remember we had the funniest moment I've ever had on a set was we were doing something, and we ran on either side of the camera, and I bumped into Lupita, and I went, "Sorry," really loudly, and kept running.
And you died. You died immediately.
Immediately. So it made zero logical sense, but it just shows how much I talk.
Because you would be pushing her out of the way, and
Well, I felt really bad to Lupita as myself bumping into her. I said, "Sorry," really loud.
So
You're
the reason
supposed to be quiet.
you would die right away because the creatures, the
Right.
aliens, I mean, however you want to describe them, they hunt by sound. And we were talking just before we went on, and I think it's a fascinating conversation. Vlad's been filling us in. We don't know a lot about these creatures that are hunting humanity. I mean, what can you tell the audience about what to expect?
Well, all I can say is really this is a unique, horrific terror stage in New York City, a place that never sleeps.
Yes.
And so how it was quite a contradiction with the theme of our film, which is all about silence.
Yes.
And if you're quiet, you'll live. So that's as much as I can tell you.
Once you get to know them, they're very sweet.
If you're quiet, you live. It sounds like a parenting tip for long car rides.
Right.
The creatures are going to hear you.
But you studied Kung Fu. Did that at all, come into the film and your processing?
Only well, got mad at me.
Well, I mean, not for this one particularly, because I wasn't really fighting, doing any... I say fighting, right? But of course, I find myself, very challenged in this interpretation, and I obviously my whole goal was to try to protect my family, protect myself, and and my kid, and so it's.
Well,
it's nerve-wracking talking about it because we don't want to
so
give
much
anything
that
away.
we
There's
can't
so
say.
much that we can't say that the two of us are like, Is that okay?
And this is one unusual film in which you really do not want to dive into the story itself. You can talk around it because it really will kill the edge, having to create this suspense for the audience, and then you're gonna have to go and try and tell, what is my character doing in this film?
Well, what's so interesting about this film as opposed to the others is that it is big blockbuster, a lot more big screen action. When you think of like how this would seem to be a small budgeted film grew into this sensation. I mean, you think about Krasinski and his ability. What is the lesson there for Hollywood?
Live out your dream, right? I'm not quite sure how Krasinski came about this story. I mean, obviously, he's the architect of our story. But that first one, the way it was told, looking at this family stranded in the middle of nowhere, you obviously see that the world has come to an end, and they're just trying to survive. And seeing day one, everybody who's seen the first one and the second one, really, you want to go back and see each one of them because it speaks volume.
It's an incredible movie because it's something that you can't imagine. New York City, that has to be quiet. Because all the other movies have taken place out in the middle of nowhere, out in the countryside. Exactly. And this one is in the most, the loudest city.
So how do you silence a city this big and this loud that never sleeps?
That's right.
How do you silence that, and how do people eventually, because from one block to another, you're obviously seeing things happening, and you obviously have to quickly either, comprehend, the dilemma, playing here.
It's amazing. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you both.
Djimon Hounsou, Alex Wolff. The movie is A Quiet Place, day one in theaters Friday. Paramount Pictures, we love them. They're part of us. We're part of them. We'll be right back.